What's up, Internet? Welcome back to Nerd Alert. I'm Brandon. I'm with Jimmy.
What's up, gang?
And we have our first talk of DC, the new DCEU universe with Creature Commandos, which came out last week, the first two episodes. And so, I mean, yeah, let's get into it. It's a kind of in the vein of Suicide Squad with some lesser known characters, but after the events of Peacemaker, which they do bring up, they can no longer use the Suicide Squad. So she has to use
I
people
love
who
that
are
description. They said humans. We can't use humans.
like Amanda Waller's always up to something, and she's like,
Always.
"Okay, I won't use humans. Check this out. I've got monsters." And we get Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., and they do talk about the events of Suicide Squad and Rick Flag Jr. dying, which is crazy because that means that is now
Yeah.
canon in the new DCU, which means the Superman movie we're getting is throwing you into a world with Bizarro, not Bizarro, Starro, with any of the other people that make it through that movie.
And
Well, which is I don't think anybody. And they die, so you won't be seeing them at a later point.
theoretically.
Weasel being the only person that really makes it out outside of Peacemaker there. But yeah, I mean that was more shocking to me than anything on the show was that they did establish that Suicide Squad happened.
Yeah, because I
Now,
thought there was a stance, a hardcore stance that this was the beginning. And
well, I mean, it's not necessarily like I think they're going to retcon Harley and they'll retcon a couple other things so you can use those characters fresh. But as far as we're concerned, Project Starfish
Yep.
is a thing, which is crazy. I think that was the wildest part to me.
Peacemaker, because I know as they make Peacemaker season 2, there was talk about, well, how does Peacemaker season 1 play into this? But it seems to be without evidence otherwise that it's canon.
I think the only thing that's not going to be counted is the ending with the Justice League with Ezra Miller and yeah, but yeah, man, great. Also, I think the biggest shock to me, I didn't see this at all the whole time, but the fact that David Harbour is playing Frankenstein's monster.
This what's cracked me up, and I'm not terribly familiar with Creature Commandos. I read the New 52 reboot to it, which I really enjoyed, and if I remember correctly, it was one of the first books canceled, which was really disappointing.
It was very disappointing. I thought I had it right behind me, and I do. I do. Yep, right here. But it was rebranded as the book was Frankenstein, Agent of Shade. It was rebranded as Creature Commandos Present. But Jeff Lemire and Doug Mankey. Oh no, actually, they include some Grant Morrison stuff from the Seven Soldiers of Victory, and then the Jeff Lemire books in here. But I mean, yeah, this is one of my favorite New 52 books, and it definitely got the axe pretty quickly.
And it was because I remember Grifter was canned real quick. Animal Man, Grifter deserved it, by the way. Animal Man, which I did not think deserved it. It was so good.
Animal Man was another Jeff Lemire book that was. They let him go long enough to tell the story. Like that was released in an omnibus, but I would have continued to read Animal Man to this day if it was coming out monthly.
And I think it was a Justice Society or maybe something along the Legends of Tomorrow, which got nixed real quick. Anywho, so Creature Commando, it was, Frankenstein, the Agent of Shade. But that was nixed very quick. But that was my only reference to this team per se. And it was basically Frankenstein. But when they start going, and I think isn't his name Eric?
Yeah, I think so.
Threw me for a loop because my knowledge of Frankenstein is obviously the movies and the book and all that. So I'm like, wait, they just named him Eric, and I'm like, well, that makes sense because it's not a universal picture and all that, and they got to set whatever. But I liked how he wasn't the focus. He's obviously going to be in it, and he's going to be in it. I was disappointed that I have to wait, which is typical. It's like I want to, watch them all at once. But the fact that Bride was more of the focus and her story.
Oh my God!
Holy shit! I did not see that coming. I did not expect. Like, I thought we were just going to go into a Suicide Squad mission sort of thing. And the fact that they spent a whole episode going on her origin story, which, oh, it's the same as Frankenstein. Like she just got put together. I'm like,
No, it
This
is
is heartbreaking.
way different here, man. Like, yeah, and it's heartbreaking on both ends,
Yeah,
like it's heartbreaking from Frankenstein's perspective, but like I think that does a great job of conveying like that character from like the natural lore of
yeah.
Frankenstein.
It's
Um,
a little icky. Like, Dad, make me a wife. Okay, I'm gonna be
I'm gonna
making
have
out with this
I'm gonna have sex with
thing
her.
behind it. Like, and that kind of then your daughter, like creation. Oh yeah,
And that was what's his name? Oh man, he was
yeah.
in the
What a bunch
actor who,
of a-holes.
yes, and
Peter Serafinowicz, something like that.
he's great. So it's also disappointing. We won't be seeing more of him, but
Flashback
that
to
was a really cool origin story. And not that don't know if you're aware of them, but the most of the music used was from a band called Gogo Bordello,
okay.
and they're a gypsy punk band. And they got their animated debut in this show when they're playing the show.
I will say James
Um,
Gunn, his ability to marry visuals and music is
oh,
so good.
bar
So good.
none, man. Like it's something I'm really anticipating. I mean, yeah, I don't think you're going to get a Guardians type feel movie from Superman, but I'm hoping that everything he has his hands in continues to marry like awesome music with awesome visuals.
Agreed. Agreed. I love, again, another character I'm not terribly familiar with, GI Robot. I'm a huge
Oh man,
historian, specifically World War II. So just talking about killing Nazis. And I can't remember what they were playing, but he saw the pattern of a swastika.
Jenga. They're playing Jenga, and he sees the
I'm like,
swastika
Jesus,
pattern.
dude, this is hilarious. It's been a long
That's
time since I killed Nazis. When are we going to kill Nazis? I'm like,
Oh my God, so good. I like how he's sitting outside the door and he's like, this day I killed 400 Nazis. Then there were 17 Nazis I murdered that day. Like,
he's just talking.
it looks like we're getting his kind of origin the next episode, which that's what it seemed we'll be telling this new story to connect everybody and while getting a little background. But,
And I'm
and
perfectly
then,
fine with teams that I don't know. Like if you do it with Superman and Batman, it's like, come on, man. Everybody
yeah,
knows. Nobody knows this team. So please, that's
no.
awesome.
And, Alan Tudyk, the man of many voices now in the DCU, is Dr. Phosphorus, and then who else was he in this at the beginning?
Clayface, but he's not in it yet. Like Clayface, I haven't seen Clayface in it yet, but that's who he's also
That's who
credited.
he's supposed to play when we see him. And I wonder if we'll
That's
get to
another
see.
great character. Like, I can't remember specifically what he was doing. I guess he was in a fight. I can't remember, but it was just like freaking hilarious.
Oh, him and Rick Flag Sr. start throwing down.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's right. He snuck into his room to steal
Because
the.
he's trying to get the detonator,
Yeah,
and
and they're getting
yeah,
in a fight. It's just Dr. Phosphorus. It's like that's freaking hilarious. Like you should be able
but
to take him, no problem. But
it was cool to see where he stands on this too, because like when the fight kind of gets out of hand, he's like, dude, like first of all, do you think that's the only
yep,
one that I have, you idiot? And he's like, and secondly, I'm not here to torture you. We are a team. We are doing this. Like, I'm not here to just set this off and hurt you. Like, so
yeah,
it's cool that you're seeing him with that point of view. He definitely looks like the set photos from Superman that he's going to be more of a villain ish. So, against Superman. So I'm wondering if something in this leads to that. But another solid start to a series, right?
and we're talking about DC.
Yeah, which
That's
is cool.
insane because it's been a long time that I could positively talk about DC because I wasn't the biggest fan of the second Suicide Squad. Like everybody loved it. I'm like, it was all right. Peacemaker loved it, totally loved it. So that
Oh,
was
yeah.
probably the really first and last time I've talked positive about him completely. Obviously, we have to wait to see everything get released on this. But DC, other than I just fucked myself over. I was like, other than their animated stuff, well, this is animated. But the fact that this is a new story in a new world that is completely different than everything we've seen before, I'm so stoked that DC's starting this way.
And I just really like the idea too of maybe taking the extra step that Marvel isn't, because I've been saying for years, like I'm shocked that Disney has not done more with Marvel animation yet. Like, we're getting What If and things like that, but it's like I really want to see like shows of superheroes, whether it's in continuity or not. And I think it's such an interesting take to kick this off and establish that, like, in this big world, you're going to have um, animated, you're going to have TV shows, you're going to have movies. Like, so I think this is a really solid first step.
I will say, I sat down yesterday morning to watch the Star Wars Skeleton Crew and this, and I
Mhm.
really had that moment of, man, I'm just having a Saturday morning cartoon special. I love it. And then Victor and the Bride are getting it on sex, and I'm like, I did not see the Killing Joke come back, and like where my animations are going to have sex, and I'm like, I'm not opposed to it. It's fine. It's violent. It works. But I was like, I did not see that coming. This is not
Well,
my
and then Frank Grillo has it with the princess, which is
yeah.
I do like when the guard's looking for him and Dr. Phosphorus is like, I'd give him about 3 minutes.
He's in pretty good shape. Might be
Yeah,
30
he's
seconds.
yes, I give him, hey, can you wait?
And
Yeah, I
that's
thought
what
that
I
was
like.
great.
It's like, we talk about Batman the animated series and Spider-Man and X-Men growing up in the 90s. This is not that. This is really
No,
good, but it's adult. Like, you're not going to let your kids watch this. This is adult, good animation that's telling a good story, not just having sex for the sake of it. It's like, no, this was part of the story. It destroyed Eric Frankenstein. And that's what leads to what's going on. I really like how brutal it was, and that was needed to tell this story.
100%. And solid start. It's interesting to think though that like for all intents and purposes, like Superman is existing in a world where Frankenstein and the Bride are part of a secret government group, and I love that. And that's comic books. That's
I
comic
do
books.
too. And that's like, I did not like Doom Patrol, but I wasn't thrilled with all the characters all the time. It just they weren't my cup of tea. This one, I'm like, I like how you're telling everybody's story. I dig it. I pretty much like the characters I've seen so far. Like GI Robot, was that somebody you would glom onto? No, but I'm fascinated to learn more because it's
A
so
hundred
ridiculous.
percent.
Whereas Doom Patrol, I felt like some of the characters, like, I just not feeling this one. Not this case. I really, really enjoy the characters. Can't wait to see where they're going. And I think as far as watching the last of like the Arrowverse come to an end with whatever, Lois and
Infinite
Clark.
Crisis and all that, yeah, and the Lois and Clark ending, yeah.
Now we're getting to, this is the new stuff. Everything here on out. Penguin doesn't count, and the Matt Reeves stuff doesn't count. This is James Gunn. You can tell this is him starting the DC. Yes, he did Suicide Squad. Yes, he did Peacemaker, but he wasn't in charge of everything at the point. This is it. This is his tone. This is what he's going forward with, and I'm down. I like it.
Yeah, can't agree with you more, man. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below.